But all the same, a very good morning from wherever you're tuning in. My name is Marie Yambo. I'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in the news. And coming up on the news this morning, UDA-ODM partnership expected to cure the SHA headache and ease taxation burden, says Raila Odinga. And President Ruto launches projects in Nairobi's Mathare area and drums up support for the broad-based government. And 37-year-old Kenyan woman, Duta Macharia, handed a death sentence in Vietnam. Why? Well, stay tuned to get to know more. All that coming up in this particular bulletin, including business and sports. So we begin with the President tour of Nairobi, where President William Ruto continued his working tour in the capital, Nairobi, ramming up support for the government's alliance with the Orange Party. In the second day of his tour, he pitched tent in Mathare, where he urged Kenyans to shun divisive politics. The head of state also launched the construction of an 800-bed dormitory at St. Teresa's Secondary School, even as he hailed the school feeding program, dubbed Dishi na County Program by Nairobi County Government.
Two of his developmental tour in the capital. President William Ruto, alongside his deputy and a host of leaders from Nairobi, camped in Mathare constituency.
Mathare hoye! Vijana wa Mathare mmenielewa?
The first stop was St. Teresa's Secondary School, where he launched the construction of an 800-bed dormitory.
Mimi nawapenda sana. Mimi na Walombotov. Asante sana kwa kunikaribisha.
It is here that he hailed Nairobi County Government's Dishi County School Feeding Program, which currently benefits over 316,000 learners. He pledged to support the learners' request for an expanded food menu to include chapatis.
Sasa ndapika chapati milioni moja. Nitaomba rais anisaidie na machine ya kutengeneza chapo. Ndio hiyo.
Ninunue machine ya kutengeneza chapo. Na nimekubali nitamnunulia machine ya kutengeneza chapo. Sasa wewe gavana, tafuta mahali ya kununua mashini ya kutengeneza chapo milioni moja.
The head of state further rallied support for the recently signed agreement with the ODM leader Raila Odinga.
Hiyo maneno munajua tulikubaliana na Raila Amolo Odinga na Wakenya wengine wote tutembee safari moja kama wananchi wa Kenya. Na mimi najua ya kwamba Nairobi inasema yes, twende mbele, tuunganishe Kenya, tuondoe ubaguzi, tuondoe chuki, tuzalishe Kenya ambayo iko na umoja ya Wakenya wote.
He urged Kenyans to shun divisive politics and support development.
Tumekubaliana kama Kenya, hatutaki tena siasa ya ukabila na chuki na migawanyiko. Tunataka tuungane kama watu wa taifa moja. Tukabiliane na changamoto za Kenya, tuzalishe chakula ya kutosha, tuondoe njaa, tuzalishe nafasi ya ajira ya kutosha, tuhakikishe vijana wetu wako na ajira, na tuzalishe uchumi, tuondoe umaskini, Kenya iweze kusonga mbele.
Ili nchi yetu isonge mbele, lazima tuwe nchi moja, taifa moja, tuachane na ubaguzi wa vyama, ya ukabila, ya dini.
During the developmental tour, the president also inspected the construction of 12 classrooms at Mbatini Primary School, TVET College, launched a last-mile electricity connectivity project, Mathare Affordable Housing Project, inspected construction of Mathare Modern Gateway Market, launched the construction of classrooms at Mathare North Secondary School, and commissioned the Deputy County Commissioner's Office in Mathare North. He is expected to continue his city tour on Wednesday.
Watu wa Mathare, muwe na affordable housing, muweze kuishi katika mazingira mazuri, tuondoe slums na tuhakikisha kwamba kila Mkenya anapata nafasi katika mji wa Nairobi na katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Of course, we'll be bringing you live coverage of that as the president continues his tour of the capital city, Nairobi. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has defended his decision to collaborate with President William Ruto, saying it was driven by a commitment to resolve critical national issues, including the controversial Social Health Authority (SHA) and the heavy taxation burden. Speaking at a funeral service in Kiambu County, Raila dismissed criticism over his cooperation with the president. He said the president approached him to help stabilize the nation.
Raila Odinga's cooperation with President William Ruto has been met with criticism from a section of Kenyans, but the ODM leader is not backing down.
Watu wengi wanapiga kelele hapa na pale, oh, Raila ameenda kwa Ruto, ametuacha. Mimi sijaenda kwa Ruto. Ruto amekuja kwangu.
Speaking publicly for the first time about the backlash, Raila defended his decision, insisting his signing a framework of cooperation with President was born out of a necessity to address pressing national concerns.
Mambo matibabu iko na shida. Hii mambo ya SHA haifanyi kazi. Mpaka irekebishwe, si ndio irekebishwe? Sivyo? Hii mambo ya ushuru ambayo wananchi wanatozwa ni juu sana. Hata hii ya nyumba hizi.
At a funeral service in Kiambu County, the former Prime Minister family refuted claims that his partnership with President was politically motivated ahead of the 2027 elections.
Uchaguzi itakuja mwaka 2027. Hapo wananchi wataamua wenyewe. Lakini kutoka hapa mpaka pale hatutaki wananchi wetu wazidi kuumia.
Raila assured that the president was committed to implementing the resolutions the two leaders agreed upon.
Na amekuja upande yetu, mimi nikasema tufanye mambo marekebisho haya yote. Mnaona yale tumeandika maneno 10 yote ni yale tumekuwa tunadai, na wakasema watatimiza. Sasa tumesema tunapatia hao fursa ya kufanya hayo ili yarekebishwe.
The ODM leader emphasized that his fight for the rights of Kenyans had not changed, and that while some may disagree with his approach, he would rather be part of the solution than remain on the sidelines.
President William Ruto has announced plans to construct the Bomas International Convention Complex starting in the next 2 weeks. Speaking at a cabinet meeting yesterday, the president said the complex will be a major milestone in the government's plan to transform the facility into a world-class conferencing hub. If implemented, it will become Kenya's second international convention center after KICC.
While chairing the cabinet meeting Tuesday morning, President William Ruto said the upgrading of the Bomas of Kenya to Bomas International Convention Center will redefine its look, feel and purpose, and positioning it as a premier destination for global events. When implemented, it will become Kenya's second international convention center after KICC. The cabinet also directed the finalization of the construction framework and the groundbreaking of the 170-kilometer 4-lane Rironi-Mau Summit Road by June 1, 2025. The project aims at upgrading the road from a two-way single carriageway to a 4-lane dual carriageway to improve traffic flow from Nairobi through Nakuru to Western Kenya. The project is set for completion within 24 months with a target date of June 2027. To enhance public health and safety, the cabinet also approved a nationwide asbestos roof removal initiative. Asbestos has been classified as a human carcinogen and is linked to severe health conditions, including lung cancer. The National Environment Management Authority (NEMA) will oversee the safe removal, disposal, and handling of asbestos, while owners will foot the cost. Government buildings, hospitals, and schools going way back to 1970s are likely to be affected. In a move to address youth unemployment, the cabinet endorsed the internship and volunteer policy and guidelines for the public service, providing a standardized framework to streamline the recruitment, engagement and management of interns and volunteers across government institutions.
On minor reporting there. The National Assembly leadership has put a section of select committee chairs on the spot over alleged misuse of power and public resources. At the center of the storm is the Budget and Appropriations Committee, whose term has lapsed, but where funds for public participation did not reach their constituencies.
Day remaining for the National Assembly to conclude on the elections of chairperson and vice chairpersons of 18 select committees whose term has lapsed. A section of former committee chairpersons have been called out of alleged misuse of powers and resources. On Tuesday, a section of MPs decried unfairness and skewed disbursement of funds allocated for public participation under the purview of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, led by Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro.
A guillotine, Honorable Speaker, was placed on public participation, and which has disadvantaged Vihiga as a county plus other counties, which if they are here, they should speak on this. And the monies that otherwise were put in public participation genuinely, not these other monies that is an addition that is not known where it's going to, where you will find that one constituency is having monies up to 1 billion for public participation. No, Honorable Speaker, that was not part of the real public participation that was instrumented in the Constitution.
The House Leadership Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and his minority counterpart Junet Mohammed said the Budget and Appropriations Committee had been allocated 2 billion shillings, but was added 10 billion shillings, and the money was diverted.
What is more worrying, Honorable Speaker, is that if the entire 12 billion shillings went to the counties that were slated in for the public participation exercise, then there will be no problem. The problem has come because it is people who have vested interest in those committees where they sit in that then use that opportunity to put projects in their own constituencies and counties far from what was intended by the public participation, Honorable Speaker.
The Budget and Appropriation Committee of this House has reached to the level where the chair of that committee, Mr. Speaker, now, members of Parliament are going to his constituency for benchmarking, Mr. Speaker. Benchmarking. And all of us are supposed to receive the same amount of NGD CDF, Mr. Speaker. What is making our members to go and benchmark in our colleague's constituency, Mr. Speaker? Because the colleague is receiving more funding because of him being the chairman of the budget committee. Let's be honest to Kenyans. Which member of parliament here can afford through his NGCDF to build classrooms, plaster them, put windows, put roof, put tiles in the classroom, cabros in the... Mr. Speaker, which member of parliament can afford to do that here with a mere resources of 100 million shillings, Mr. Speaker?
As MPs prepare to elect new committee chairs and the vice chairs, call for fairness and accountability prevailed.
We have now reconstituted a new Budget and Appropriations Committee. Let me be on record, it will not be business as usual. This House will not sit back and allow members who sit in the Budget and Appropriations Committee to use the position they hold in that committee to appropriate money to only their constituencies at the expense of other Kenyans.
Members of the National Assembly have pleaded with their counterparts at the Senate and the Council of Governors to allow the county government's additional allocations bill to be passed. The bill flopped last year after senators amended it, adding 10 billion shillings for roads and maintenance levy fund.
Thank you, Gladys Mungai. The government says it has addressed major challenges experienced in the new competency-based curriculum that was introduced in 2019. Speaking during the ongoing competency-based curriculum public participation in Mombasa, Basic Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang assured stakeholders of a smooth transition for the first cohort to senior secondary school.
Public participation that sought to engage stakeholders across the country on the journey, progress, and achievements of the new competency-based curriculum since its inception in 2019 kicked off. Leading the CBC public participation in Mombasa, Basic Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang was keen to highlight that the loopholes that existed have slowly been addressed.
We envisage to do another 7,000 classrooms so that now, by the end of this term, by the time we close school, we shall have finished 22,000 classrooms.
We will be seeking a partnership between the upper schools so that when we are setting these water units there, there can also be piping that can go to the ECD, and there'll be piping that will go to the primary, so that one entity can be able to serve all those student population that is there.
He said that the ministry is working closely with the National Treasury to make sure the second tranche of capitation is availed to schools to facilitate pending bills.
I can give them our word that we are at the tail end of ensuring that that resource is dispersed to them.
The more than 1.2 million learners in grade 9 expected to sit for Kenya Primary School Education Assessment in November this year are expected to be promoted to a senior secondary school based on their career choices, abilities, and interest.
And the family of a 37-year-old Kenyan woman, Nduta Macharia, is facing a death sentence in Vietnam, is pleading for government intervention to secure their kin a lesser sentence. Nduta was convicted on Thursday, March the 6th, after being found guilty of possessing 2 kilograms of cocaine and was given only 7 days to appeal against her death sentence. Her family is now appealing to the government to help save her life.
Purity Wangari is a mother in distress. Her life has been turned upside down ever since she learnt of her daughter Nduta Macharia's 2 years incarceration and an impending execution to be carried out in Ho Chi Minh City of Vietnam, where she was arrested in possession of 2 kilograms of heroin.
Akapata matibabu shida ya kushikwa ni hiyo country igine Vietnam, alafu na akapelekwa kotini akahukumiwa kunyongwa.
Tears flowing down the cheeks of the 63-year-old mother as she desperately stares at her convicted daughter's photo.
Munisaidie, muniletee huyo msichana huku, alafu mkitaka kumfuga mumfugie huku.
According to court documents, Nduta was arrested in July 2023 while on transit to Laos, where she claimed to have been hired by a man only known as John from Kenya to deliver a suitcase to another woman. She is said to have confessed to receiving a payment of $1,300 or 167,000 shillings from John, who also paid her air tickets. Residents of Waithaga in Murang'a County have joined the family in pleading with the government to bring back Nduta and charge her in the country should she be found guilty.
Na sisi ombi letu ni moja kwa serikali ikiongozwa na the Ministry of Foreign Affairs led by our minister, that is the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, that you can do your intervention na huyo msichana wetu ambaye ni Nduta aweze kurudi katika hii nchi yetu ya Kenya.
In other news, police officers in Keses, Uasin Gishu County, are investigating a bizarre situation where a man was found operating an illegal police post in the region. The suspect, who has since been identified as Collins Leitich alias Chepkulei, a resident of Assis village, established the station by painting a building in Chesos Center in police force colors resembling an official patrol base.
Imagine police officers in their normal patrols bumping into a well-painted police post that they had no idea existed. That was the bizarre situation in Chaborbor Center, Keses Sub-County in Uasin Gishu County. The suspect, Collins Leitich, well known as Chepkulei, perhaps took the phrase "security starts with you" a little bit too far, after he allegedly established this police patrol base in the area without authorization. Chepkulei allegedly took it upon himself to establish the police patrol base at this building and went as far as painting the structure in official police colors, creating the impression of a legitimate security post.
Tuletewe polisi hapa, hii nyumba wakuje tu kwa muda, tunapotafuta mahali pa kujengewa polisi, wakuje kwanza watusaidie hapa. wakuje wafanye kazi kwa hii ofisi ambayo imetengenezwa.
The revelation of the privately owned police post by authorities has elicited mixed reactions from residents.
Sioni makosa kama itakombolewa hii nyumba. Hata sisi tulikuwa tumechukua maoni ngine sisi kwa watu ya biashara. Tukasema hata hii maaskari yakikuja hapa tunaweza janga pesa tunalipia hao kila mwezi hii ofisi. Sasa sababu tunalipanga watchman pesa mingi.
Authorities are now trying to unravel the duration in which the fake police station had been in operation, whether any locals were arrested or processed in the station, and if the suspect had any accomplices.
The community approached the local OCS, the local OCPP at Kamuyu Police Post in whose jurisdiction hiyo area iko, wakitaka kuwa na 30 patrol base. But before you could escalate to the OCPD, to the county commander, then he ended to the regional commander, mpaka police headquarters. Nafikiri wananchi kwa ile amu ya kutaka usalama haraka wakapaint one of the buildings within the police, the Charus Trading Center iwe kama a police patrol base.
This is even as questions linger among residents on the extent of the insecurity gap in the region, following the establishment of the privately owned police station without the knowledge or authorization of the National Police Service.
Hatuna police station hapa around. Mtu akikosewa ama aipiwe vitu yake za hizi hapa ni mahali ataripoti ni Kamoyo, 2 kilometers away from here.
I look at business now, where the Controller of Budget says the underfunding of her office is likely to jeopardize the ability to fulfill its mandate effectively. Controller of Budget Dr. Margaret Nyakango told the Finance and Budget Committee of the Senate that persistent underfunding has hampered staff recruitment and retention, as well as limiting the capacity to monitor public expenditure. Dr. Nyakango says even though her office proposed a budget of 1.6 billion shillings, legislators have slashed it by more than a half to 777.5 million shillings.
To have one extra officer at the county so that there are 2. These officers in the counties cannot even take annual leave. Hawezi enda leave. They are there all year round because it is just one officer.
The county executive members are wasting a lot of time in Nairobi trying to get exchequer release processed. They normally say they live in Nairobi, and this is very critical, even on your part, to be able to inform the general public on how well that process is undergoing.
There is lack of capacity building of these officers, which, as you have seen, has been allocated 0. Then we need automation. Automation has been allocated 0. So how are we going to improve the speed of exchequer requisition?
And wish that my colleagues will sincerely, I think for the first time, let us just make sure that we are able to give you the tools which are going to help you make sure that you fight this fight we are fighting.
The issue of foreign travel.
Yes.
I don't know why you're being apologetic, or you appear, when you're asking for money for foreign travel. How will you bring our office to the same standard with the best world practices if you don't interact with them?
Chair, I support the proposal that the personal emoluments be enhanced so that they can motivate the staff that are doing a very good job in terms of protecting public funds.
I look at sports now, where the Cabinet has approved the hosting of the 2025 World Rally Championship WRC Safari Rally, set to take place from the 20th to the 23rd of this month in Naivasha, that is in Nakuru County. The 2025 edition has attracted a star-studded field of 39 drivers, including defending champion Kalle Rovanperä of Finland, reigning World Rally champion Thierry Neuville, current leader Elfyn Evans, and Estonia's or Tanak, with the Africa Rally champion Karan Patel and Carl Tundo leading the Kenyan charge in the RC2. Additionally, the cabinet was briefed on the progress of the Talanta Hela Stadium at Jamhuri Park in Nairobi, which is now 40% complete. Once finished, the 60,000-seater stadium will be Kenya's largest, with the government aiming for completion by the end of the year. The last stadium of this scale to be built in Kenya was the Moi International Sports Center Kasarani 45 years ago, making Talanta Hela a landmark achievement in the country's sporting history. Well, and that's where we come to a close in as far as the news is concerned. Thank you so much, as always, for your company. My name is Maria Ambo. I'll be giving room to my colleague, that is Victor Lowe. He'll be taking you through the viewpoint.